Welcome back to the Journeyman Cave, everybody. This is round 61 and a special episode, as today we're going to be looking back at the career and life of Genadij Krajevskij, who sadly died in December last year, 8th of December 2024. Too many of these, isn't there, Mark?
Far too many, mate. But it's important that we do our little bit to remember these guys. And yeah, I think it touched us all in the boxing community when this happened. And we miss him so much, mate. And we thought we'd get a few months before we got this all sorted and released, and give time for his family and that to grieve and all his friends. And, like I just said, I miss him so much. And I'm just glad we finally got all these great journeymen and people involved in this today to give us the memories about him, and hopefully people will listen to this, listen to the stories and finish with a smile on their face and remember him in a good way, because that's what I want to remember him for, because he was such a great guy. And I think you'll see three things in these. There's a pattern in all these messages that we got from him, actually, from all these great journeymen and people involved. And I think we can all say they all think his accent's amazing. He lit up a changing room, and the one thing I think BoxRec should do is maybe tell him he's got 2 or 3 knockouts on his record from behind the scenes as you layer in some of these messages, because I think he knocked 2 or 3 out in the dressing room before they've gone out, so we might have to put a couple of KOs onto his record, bless him.
It's the least they can do. Yeah, I have to say, mate, you've done a great job. The people involved in this, they are fantastic journeymen. Some we've met, some we really want to meet and get on the show. But we'll do his best in future. But, I mean, I think I mentioned it on the recap episode that we did sort of earlier this year. This was always going to happen where someone that we knew, left us, and might sound a bit daft, but it happened sooner than I expected. I mean, Genadij was 37. When we first met him in Birmingham, your first night doing Jake Pollard's Corner, and I tagged along. And you noticed it straight away, didn't you? We saw him at car park.
We did.
And I remember thinking, what is this accent? And he was so almost hyper, he was giddy and bouncing around a bit. And anyway, we then get in changing room, that tiny little changing room with radiator on it, juffing boiling. And you'll hear from these stories. I mean, like you said, there's a theme, but it's not. It's at no point is it boring. You know what I mean? There's some similar stories, but every time you're just nodding your head, saying, "Yep, that was Genadij." And I think we then also met him in Barnsley. He came to Metrodome.
He did on one of Josh Wales' show. He did. My wife got to meet him as well, and she loved him as well. They got talking about Liverpool, because obviously my wife Dawn did her teacher training in Liverpool, so we're talking about the sites and stuff and what he was doing. And, he was quite sad because he was telling about his plans for the future as well, and what he wanted to do after boxing and what he was doing. And there's a video around on social where he used to do a lot of security work and bouncing work, and there's a video out there, I don't know if you can still see it, but there's a video where he's doing a bottle toss. They did like a 360 bottle toss. Yeah. But Genadij took it to the next level, because he were in a nightclub bouncing, and he did this, tossed this bottle up to do a 360, but he actually landed on a shelf.
Oh, wow. And
you could just see his face light up when he did it, and it was like all these serious security cameras, and Genadij just starts jumping up and down because he's done this thingy from behind, and that's the kind of guy he was. And every message that because I wanted to get the best involved in this, because it wouldn't do him justice if we didn't. And everyone who's got involved in this has got a special part in, to playing and seeing what Genadij is all about. And I think everyone, I know I smiled and just grinned, but then I was also upset as well in every message. And I think that's what I want. I wanted people to touch him, thinking, remember him as a great guy that he was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to mention his record. He 76 fights in total, and he won one of those, which didn't come until something like his 67th fight or whatever in Oldham. And I'll never forget that photo that I can't remember who posted it. The sheer joy in his face that he'd finally got that win.
He did. He gave me a message on that night as well, telling me how he'd done it, and I'd had messaged him before when he'd lost by a point or so, and he said, I should have had this, brother. I should have got something out on this. I need that first win. I'm going to get it. And when he got it and he sent me that message saying, I've done it, I've got it. And I said, how are you feeling? But he goes, oh, mate, you don't realise how buzzing I am. It meant the world to him. And I'm so glad he got that W on his record, and he deserved it.
Yeah, me as well. So I suppose we may as well let the stars of the show tell us the stories. Like I say, you've done a great job with this list. And, I mean, I don't think we can start much better than Poochie.
Yeah.
One of the best journeymen. Well, he was probably the first one that I ever met, actually, when you took me to Sheffield.
Yeah.
And you sort of explained to me what this was all about, this game. So, Poochie's still on his wish list. We'll get there one day. But, yeah, I think we should start with his message.
Journeyman Cave boys, how you doing? Poochie here, Lewis Van Poch. You guys asked me to give my little testament to Genadij, and I'll happily do it. Apologies for the delay. Hope I haven't missed the final edit. But obviously Genadij, he was one hell of a man. Like I've said this before, and he put the warrior in Road Warrior. He always thought of his heart on his sleeve. He always gave 110%. And he was bloody tough as nails, man. Like, he didn't back down from any challenges. Kevin Marie has probably informed you. Like, the fact that he stepped up and fought... He was a light middleweight, really. 154. He fought Tommy Fury at, like, 180 pounds or something. So, yeah, he was a real tough guy. And honestly, I shared many a dressing room with that man. And it was always a pleasure when you saw him on the card, because he was always smiling, always happy, always buzzing to be there. And like a lot of journeymen, myself included, didn't really train, especially towards the end of my career. But a lot of journeymen don't have the time, energy, or resources to train the way they should. But Genadij was an exception. He always wanted to be training. He'd post videos of himself running up and down steps and doing bar jumps over over hand railings and stuff in central Liverpool. He was obviously a few sandwiches short of a picnic, but in the nicest way possible. I mean that. Like he was a little bit crazy, but in the nicest way and in all the good ways. And he's going to be seriously missed on the journeyman circuit. He was still an active journeyman when I took up my refereeing, but I think the board had stripped him before I'd got upgraded to be able to be in the ring. So I never actually got the chance to referee him, which would have been nice. But I was definitely sat ringside for a few of his fights towards the end of his career. So like I said, rest in peace, Genadij. You're going to be seriously, sorely missed by a lot of people in the boxing community. Myself, Richard and Claudia, we took the drive up to Liverpool to attend his funeral. And the turnout was fantastic. A lot of boxing faces there. A lot of his mates from around Liverpool, his family and stuff. It was obviously really nice to see. So, rest in peace, and we'll see you for the final bell, mate.
Thanks for that, Poochie. What a great start. So next up, two more. I'm going to keep saying this. Two more incredible journeymen. We've got Dale Arrowsmith, who we've another one on the wish list, but we've also got Harry Matthews, who we have met multiple times. We've had him on the show. I mean, there's not too much more to say. We're going to let them do their own talking, but, I think Dale talks about being in the changing room with him, and I think Harry talks about meeting him in general on the road. So first up, you'll hear Dale and then Harry.
Sorry, mate. Box last night. Between us, I've got a little cut. Got a cut eye, but we'll see how we are next week. Do you know what? Got a funny story about Genadij. So me and him were boxing on the same card at Ponds Forge a few years back. And I was on first, he was on second. So we're both gloved up, and we're both gloved up, ready to go. Like, I had about 10 minutes till I was ring walking. He was on straight after me. And he sort of comes over to me and starts like shadow boxing in front of me. And like just touching me with a jab and stuff. So I put my hands up, flicked a jab back, just messing. Bloody hell, threw an overhand right on the temple, nearly knocked me over. I said, Genadij, I've got a fight in 5 minutes, mate. You know, knock me out. He's just laughing, saying, I'm sorry, bro. That's funny.
Harry Matthews here, Pocklington Rocket. Just like to send a few words about Genadij. Obviously, you know, God rest his soul. You want a memory of mine of Genadij? Well, I remember the first time meeting him on a show. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been in Stoke-on-Trent or something like that. And I just remember watching him go, you know, pace around the room, full of laughs, full of giggles, you know, great energy. And at the same time, I was thinking, is that guy a Scouser or is he a Polish or is he both? But, you know, he had such a great, I don't know, just a great way about him. So much charisma, you know, always happy to be around everybody kind of thing. And, you know, he gave his all in the ring. Really, really tough guy, week in, week out, you know, gave what he could to this sport. And yeah, you know, it was a shame that he had to finish when he did. But obviously health comes first. You know, that the board have got a duty of care, and obviously that they had to make their decision. And it's just really sad, you know, to hear what happened. But yeah, he will always go down as a great character in the away corner. He gave his all. It was a credit to boxing, and you know, God rest his soul.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dale and Harry. As next pairing, we've got Josh Lacknercook and Jake Pollard. I mean, Jake, we know only too well. You've been at corner with him a few times. We've been to see him in Bridlington a couple of times. Not met Josh yet. I haven't. I don't know if you have.
No, I have met Josh.
Right.
Met him at the Metrodome. Speak to him sometimes on Facebook. And with these two messages, I think there's a bit of a, you know what I mean, Josh goes a bit deeper, a bit more emotional, and, you know, Jake just tells it how it is, and how he misses him so much. And again, two great messages from two great current, still going journeymen.
Yeah, solid journeymen. So the first voice you'll hear is Josh Cook and then Jake Pollard.
So I remember the first time I met Genadij, one of my first pro fights. Obviously, we've shared many dressing rooms together, but from the outset, it's a very intimidating, tough-looking dude, but what an absolute sweetheart of a man. Every single time I shared a corner with him, every other journeyman will tell you this, he was the life and soul of that changing room, lifting the spirits of everyone. It was always a good backstage area when Genadij was there. Just always smiling, a good sense of humour, and just a credit to the sport. You know, he was such a servant to this sport, and I'll never forget that man. Every time I put on a pair of gloves, every time I step in that away corner, I think of him. He was a good man, and just, like I said, just a light in that changing room, and obviously one of the only men as well you'd spar with to warm up. That was one of the first things we did. He was warming me up sparring. So every time I shared a corner with him, that's how we'd warm up. Genadij would spar with us in the back. We always had a lot of opponents in common as well, and we'd share advice with one another about what they were good at, what they weren't. And just a credit to everyone who knew him and to the sport as well. Like I said, I'm sure everyone else who knows him will say the same thing. Just an absolute gem of a man. Lit up every corner he was in, every dressing room. And I'm going to miss him, you know. Well, like I said, every single time I step in that ring or put on a pair of gloves, I'll be thinking of him.
To hear the passing of Genadij were a very, very sad moment for myself. I've seen him out on the road quite a lot, with him being on a similar path to myself and having a similar role in job. And us away fighters, we're like family in them changing rooms. Like, we really do care about each other. And Genadij, he had so much time and energy to give to everybody else. He'd light up the changing room, the away changing room. And if anyone wasn't feeling it, then Genadij would make it his job to brighten that person's day up and make them feel a bit better about themselves, because it can be a bit daunting in them away changing rooms. So it were very, very sad. But I'm glad I did meet him and know him rather than never met him or known him before. And he's just a true warrior and a legend of the sport, and we'll never forget him.
Thank you for that, Josh and Jake. Next up, two more incredible journeymen, honestly. Seamus Devlin, he's no longer boxing. Another one that, he were early on my radar when we started doing this, and, I think we thought we probably would have got him on by now, but there's time. And also, the Camden caretaker, Robbie Chapman.
He's definitely on my list.
He definitely is. We've had a bit of back and forth with me and Robbie on Instagram, but Seamus tells another story about dressing room capers, and Robbie mentions me obviously meeting him a few times on the road, so I'll let them tell their stories. So first voice you'll hear is Seamus, followed by Robbie.
Yes, mate. Well, I've got one little story for you. Out of many stories I could tell, but the one that sticks in my mind when I mention Genadij is I was fighting in Newark on Carl Greaves' show, and I was boxing Liam Walsh, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I boxed Tom Cowling on Fight Zone, so it was Liam Walsh, Paddy Walsh's brother, the Walsh brothers. I was boxing him in Newark on Carl Greaves' show, and I was on the same card as Genadij. He was boxing a lad from Scunthorpe, a big tall lad. I remember it like it was yesterday. And we're both in the changing rooms together, and he's coming at me with his Lithuanian Scouse accent, that hybrid accent that was hilarious, that made him stand out, didn't it? That accent, it would slip in and out from Eastern European back into Scouse. It was very strange, but yeah, he was coming over to me and he was talking to me and he was telling me about getting on the inside and boxing on the inside, and he's showing me this is what I do. I shorten the range, and he's throwing digs at me, mate. And I think he's done this to a couple of other fighters as well. But I think he gets a bit carried away, and he's thrown a little combo on the inside, and he's caught me with a little 3-piece, and he caught me in the rib, and he had no gloves on. At the time, just had his wraps on, and I felt a little sharp pain in my floating rib. And I thought, Genadij, steady on that. And then I felt it. So I had to go out to my fight with a little achy pain in my floating rib. And I thought he'd done some damage to my soft tissue or something around the area. But he definitely caused me some mischief, some injury there anyway. So I went out into the fight with one of the Walsh brothers with a slight injury to my rib cage that Genadij caused by throwing a little combo on the inside when he was doing a wee demonstration. But yeah, I just thought that was hilarious. I spoke to the fighters before and they said he'd done the same thing. He'd done the same thing with them. But yeah, so we nearly cracked my rib before a fight in Newark. But yeah, absolutely loved the guy to bits. He was so sincere, so genuine. He bled boxing, didn't he? He lived and breathed it. And to be at that service and see that send off from his twin daughters and his missus and all his family and friends there, it was a beautiful service. And I was honoured to be there. But yeah, I thought I'd just give you my input, mate, and that little story about Genadij. God bless.
The Lithuanian Scouser. Yeah, he was a wicked guy, man. Lovely guy. First time I met him, he was on a BT show, and I was hearing him talking, and the way I could see him, I could see how he looks, and I could hear him talking. I was like, oh, okay, it's an Eastern European bloke or something. And I was like, hold on a minute, he's a Scouser, isn't he? And then it just kept going back and forth. And that was the first time I met him. And obviously then we ended up chatting, and he's a really sound geezer. And he told me, yeah, mate, I'm the Lithuanian Scouser. But yeah, no, he just seemed like a really lovely guy, man. I've seen him, met him on the shows for years. How you doing, brother? And yeah, no, he's just a really nice guy. And every time I met him, he puts a smile on your face. So it's just, it's really sad what's happened, and I wish his family all the best.
Cheers for that, Seamus and Robbie. We're coming to his final couple of messages and stories. Just before we do, though, I think it's worth mentioning a reminder about Andy's Man Club. Obviously, we did that episode with a Barnsley rep a couple of years ago, and if you're struggling, if you need someone to talk to, there's an Andy's Man Club. Well, they're everywhere. They're in nearly every town, I would think. And if you're not sure, you can look online and it'll tell you your nearest one. I think they meet every Monday evening. Have a chat, have a cuppa. But reach out. We don't want people suffering and struggling on their own. So that's a good reminder. If you've not heard that episode, I would definitely look it up with Steve Fox. But yes, sorry, I digress. So, as final 2 stories, we've got Jamie Quinn, amazing journeyman. Not too long ago, I think he's not doing it anymore, is he?
No, I think he just finished now as Jamie. Officially, I don't know, but I don't think we'll see him back. I think he's quite happy now, chilling out with his missus.
Oh, fair play. And the last voice you'll hear, because after this we're not going to chip in anymore. We've said what we need to say. But the last voice you'll hear is Johnny Clark. He's a promoter, manager. I think he does some broadcasting work.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you to everybody for the stories. Amazing to hear about Genadij. He was loved. It was a popular guy. So the first voice you'll hear next is Jamie Quinn, and then finished off with Johnny Clark.
Jamie Quinn here, just talking about my old mate Genadij. First time meeting Genadij was in Sheffield on the Fight Zone shows. He come up to me, I'd never met him before in my life, and he just come on to me, led on to me, telling me a story. Couldn't really struggle to understand him at first. I thought, is he foreign, Scottish or Scouts? But we got a chat. I just thought, what a character he was. And then from then, every week on the Fight Zone shows, he was there, always the time. Always had a right laugh with him. I'll never forget one time in the changing room, he come up to me. He put his gloves on, so we was helping to warm each other up, and he put like a little friendly spar on me. And I had to say to him in the end, I was like, oh, chill out, I'm fighting soon. But like I say, what a character. Always dead giddy, and he used to do that to all the lads in the changing rooms. And yeah, like I say, he was there most weekends when me and the lads were out on the road. He was always there. Always full of energy. Always had us all laughing. And right up until I didn't see him after I retired. And then when he retired shortly after. And then, until we heard the tragic news. Yes, but I think everyone will have the same story about Genadij. Like how he developed his own accent. Yeah, always full of energy. Liked to spar in the changing rooms before. Yeah, it's just such a sad news. Boxing's lost itself a real character there. Rest in peace, Genadij.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so we had Genadij on. What a lovely fella. Obviously, where I'm small hall, you probably don't normally get much love as a journeyman on most shows. You just come in, do your job and go. But for him, obviously, he come from far away down to sunny Essex. I put him up in the hotel, and then from the hotel, I had a VIP shuttle bus pick him up. He couldn't believe it, mate. He was so happy. I'd never seen someone smile so much and bubble. And then obviously he done his thing in the ring. He had a real good fight as well. We give it and taught my boxer a lot of lessons, if I'm honest. And afterwards, he had a photo of all the ring girls. It was amazing. He loved it, and he went back a happy man. And to be fair, I got some lovely messages from him that I will cherish and hold close. And one thing I will say, even getting tears in my eyes now, is I managed to put a smile on his face. So with that, I will hold that with me. And I wish more people in boxing was like him. And yeah, he will be missed by all.
The Journeyman Cave is produced by James Proud. Music by Ryan Carrier. Special thanks to Rhythm Inc. Studios for hosting. All views expressed are of the guests only. The Journeyman Cave and host bear no responsibility for any opinions given. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter @The Journeyman Cave.